My main goal in making this project is to explore the perspectives of people who call West Virginia home. I want to see how statistics such as the HDI, Human Development Index, being at their lowest point in the United States here in West Virginia is actually affecting the residents of this state. I want to see how industrial job loss has affected these areas and what they're doing to try and make it better. I want to delve into the negatives and the positives that people associate with living here, but most importantly of all, see what they want changed to make West Virginia a better state in the future. The first location I want to visit is a town called Grafton, West Virginia. It has a population of about 5,000 people, making it, very sparse. If you have a place that has such a low population and is so far away from any metro area, the economy's not going to do well. And then hence, the drugs and the other problems are just going to follow. I saw an article in particular that said up to a quarter of the people there live below the poverty line. So I want to go there and get a feel for how true that is, what people there want from the community as far as leadership. I want to see what they want from government officials. I'm out here about still an hour away, and you look around here and you really start to see the core of the issue that people here face, and that's that there's no flat land. And I think that's the core issue in the area that people tend to forget. So the drug problems, your education problems, all of it is gonna branch off of the main issue, which is no modern industry, no modern jobs.
Every other little spot around here, they give out Narcan, man.
Okay.
Like that's just how bad the drug problem is.
And how often would you say that's happening?
That's probably like every day, man.
Every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody's probably overdosing, man.
Are the police, anybody, any community leaders doing anything to make it better, or is it
Not that I'm aware of. But I'm sure there's programs and stuff like that, but
Okay.
not that I'm aware of.
Not really a problem that can be easily solved by anybody?
Right.
Right. As far as crime, is that mainly the drug activity?
I would think so, yeah. People
Drug
trying to,
activity.
steal stuff to get, for their habit.
If there was one thing that you could change about the area, Clarksburg in general or West Virginia, what would it be?
They could invest more like tax dollars into like social programs, or maybe like just fixing up the areas around here. Because like they've let a lot of the roads go to hell. Like I'm telling you, they let people just roam the streets at night, backpackers and whatnot. So yeah, I would think, I don't know what's preventing them from doing that, but yeah, if they could spend some of that tax money, man, and like reinvest it into these communities, that probably would make a difference.
It seems like everybody forgets about the area, right?
Yeah, it definitely feels forgotten.
Along with the people of the state, it's politicians like the one I'm going to be speaking with who have the burden of responsibility to change the policies and make the decisions necessary to make West Virginia a better state. How long have you lived in the area?
All my life.
All your life. And have you seen it get better or worse or stay about the same?
Worse.
Is there any problems in the area that you wish politicians or people in state government would fix?
Son, you opening up a can of worms.
Yeah?
It's like that B&O building. Taylor County, the city building, they want to do whatever they want to do. They want that place tore down. They robbed all the things out of it that was worth any money, which they do a lot of these houses that's tore down. They hide their dirt. I'm an old man. I've seen a lot of stuff, but I'm just an old man that I don't count for nothing. I best leave it alone because I've had, I know people that's got hurt. I know people that's got killed, dead. So I don't want to say too awful whole lot much because, I still value my life. There's a lot of history here that they want to mutilate, so I'm gonna quit at that.
The guy I just spoke to mentioned this building here in particular. I asked, with a state park being right over there, why is there not more development? You have all this nature out here. And he alluded to the fact that a lot of local officials don't allow it. There's a lot of bureaucracy that's kind of stopping things from getting better. Where do you live here?
I live at the towers, right on the other side.
Okay, so it's apartments?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was talking to the guy over there, and he mentioned this building here.
Yeah.
You know,
It belongs to the CX trains.
okay,
It belongs to them.
okay. So how long have you lived in the area here?
I lived here since about almost a year.
A year. Where were you previously at?
I was down in Florida,
Okay, Florida. Where at?
in Polk County.
Okay. So what kind of differences do you see here? What kind of...
Not really people much walk. And then there's, you go down, there's a restaurant.
Okay.
It's behind the courthouse.
Mhm.
It's called The Mission.
Okay.
You can go down there and ask people down there too. That's where I'm about to go.
Okay.
They have lunch that you could eat.
I'm on a highway bridge here in Grafton overlooking a rail yard, and you can see with all the tracks and all the infrastructure that's all older how bustling the area really used to be. You know, all the industry left years ago, and that's why all the vacancy here and people bringing up the B&O Tower and these areas that business can come in and revitalize.
I've only been here about 2 years. I'm actually from Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, okay.
Yeah.
So quite a difference.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about the area here in Grafton?
I love this town.
Okay.
I absolutely love this town. Everybody's beautiful here, especially from New York, you know. Had to get out of the weather. And I met the police chief. I met the mayor. What I do is I got a picker-upper thing. It picks up garbage.
Yeah.
And I don't have to, but I do it anyway to give something back to the town.
Okay.
And I need exercise anyway.
Yeah.
So one day I'll pick up the trash out of that parking lot. A different day I'll pick up trash from that parking lot. That belongs to the housing authority too, that parking lot there. And then I'll pick up trash in front of the building. And then another day I'll pick up trash on Main Street.
Okay.
Now, the one thing I can't figure out, human nature, we got trash cans all up and down Main Street.
People still throw it on the road.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But I do it, like I said, for
Yes.
exercise.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And that's what helps the town get better, right?
Right. Even though I live here and I don't have a lawn or something, regular people, they mow their lawn, it's a chore. So I consider it a chore, even though I don't have to.
Yeah. It's
And
helping
something-
out everybody.
Right. Get something back to this pleasant town here.
Okay.
Yeah. The mayor told me, come by and see me.
So you have a generally positive perception of the area as a whole?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing, distraction that I'd like to see is I wish the state or the county would do more with those two buildings across the street.
Okay.
See that tall building right there? That small building, I got an idea. That'd make a great auction house.
I've heard like 3 people bring that up, that building,
Yeah. I've been here 2 years.
2 years. And have you visited West Virginia? Or...
No, my nephew lives on the other side of town.
Okay.
So that's why I moved here.
Okay. So Buffalo's bigger city, relatively.
Right.
So you're coming from a bigger city to
Right.
a much smaller area.
Don't want it.
Okay. Yep. So it's a positive. In that
Oh,
aspect.
it's generally a positive thing.
Okay.
These people in the city, I don't care if it's Buffalo, New York, or whatever, they're colder. They got like blinders on. They're concerned
Okay.
about only what they know how to do, and
It's
that's
very
it.
goal, like very trajectory.
Tunnel
oriented.
vision.
Yeah.
They have tunnel vision. Here, everybody seems to see 360 degrees around them,
Okay.
and that's the way it should be.
So you like the people. That's the biggest thing.
Oh, that's the largest thing.
Okay.
That's the largest thing. Now, the largest thing is the people. Facility-wise, they need a little work.
What I've kind of expressed is everything would be a lot better here even if you could keep the people, right? Because that's
Yes.
the best part. And then just bring in the bigger city infrastructure,
Business.
business. So, in your opinion, what would be the biggest negative here?
Streets.
So, just infrastructure?
Streets are
Streets.
too thin.
Okay.
The side streets are too thin. That's my major complaint about statewide.
Okay.
They need to get on these secondary roads. We're always doing road work on the major highways, the interstate. Guys, we don't need it there. We need you to widen those thin billycoat roads.
Yeah. So every year they're going in and redoing the big highway, but then they forget about all the small.
Right, and that's the problem. That's the problem. Along with infrastructure again, when I was in New York, I had a portable concentrator. You know what they are?
No, I'm not sure.
A breathing machine, COPD.
Okay.
And we couldn't. I had one in New York. I came down here. They gave me a travel one and said, "You'll get one down here." Got it down here? No, they won't give me one. Being a veteran now, it's a problem. And I did a NBC news report on that, and with other veterans.
Okay.
Guess what? Next month we're getting portable concentrators.
Good. Brought attention to it.
And we need it. That's when, like, sometimes they just need a little push.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the doctors, it wasn't the facility, it wasn't the nurses, and it wasn't the people who work there. What it is a nameless, faceless bureaucrat
Yeah.
who wasn't doing his job. They had a contract for 5 years, and that was a year ago. That was 6 years. What's taking so long? Concentrate a little bit more on benefits for old people, children, and veterans. We're the most vulnerable when it comes to crime. We're the number 3 targets. VA and old people's benefits, what we need.
Okay. So, if there was one thing that you think could change, or one thing that could make this place better in particular, what would it be?
I would just say investment.
Investment.
Investing in really amping up the area and making it accessible and prosperous for everyone.
Okay, so maybe incorporating the nature more into everything and utilizing, that's one of West Virginia's better qualities. Trying to bring that into the scope.
Or even like, this could be a little controversial, but Colorado really took off when they legalized weed. And we have such beautiful mountains and beautiful nature. If they did that, we could really utilize that area just like Colorado did.
So what do you think about the area?
I think it's very pretty.
Okay.
Basically all I've ever known. Quiet. Not a ton goes on around here.
So country.
Yeah. It's very like small town vibes. A lot of the people around here are really nice and they really help you out. It's very like community strong.
So community oriented. Mm-hmm. If there was one thing that you could change about the area, what would it be?
Definitely like how they're letting all the old buildings go to ruin.
Okay.
I definitely believe we should put funding into like restoring them.
So I'm here around the downtown area of Grafton, and it looks like any other West Virginia town. It's, a lot of old buildings and abandoned shops. What's your name?
Kimberly Byers.
People down the road had a couple interesting opinions on the area.
Okay.
Related to, local politicians kind of blocking things in terms of progress, and I'm kind of interested to hear what you have to say.
Ultimately, the prevailing view from what I've been privy to is essentially that it's the small businesses that need to progress the economy, the kind of revitalized downtown, that the city council, the county commissioners, they're kind of hands off. It's up to the people like myself, the people across the street to bring the prosperity.
You can tell by, all of these buildings, it used to be, busy. It was probably an old industrial town, right?
Yeah, this was a railroad town, and they had thousands, like 5,000 people working just in the mechanical shops here behind this building in the railroad.
Okay. So it's all too common then, isn't it, in West Virginia to find a town like this where you have these old, brick buildings, right? Mm-hmm. So it takes people to come in and revitalize it.
That's right.
How many businesses would you say are occupying the area?
There's a solid half a dozen right now. We have this shop, the Tiger Artisans Guild, and then I have my own individual business making guitars.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit.
People are trying.
People are really trying.
It just takes financing. It takes, it's going to take.
It does. It takes, it takes a lot of effort. Mm-hmm. It takes financing. I think all too often the focus is on the small business owner and not the small building owner.
Yeah.
You got to have a place for a person to have a business, and all too often it starts with the building owner. Just because a building is here doesn't mean it's ready to be occupied. So you really got to start with the building owner, and then you've got to attract people like myself to move here. And I've actually only lived here 2.5 years, primarily because the person who owns this building spent almost a year asking me why I don't create the art that I create here in Grafton. And then out of his own pocket, basically convinced me to move here.
Okay. That's a good example of somebody helping the community as a whole.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
The person who owns this building did that.
There's a couple big problems around here. There's food insecurity.
Absolutely.
There's, the drug epidemic. So pertaining to the drug epidemic, how serious would you say that is with young people and then older people?
I cannot say that there are more or less or even amount of drugs here in Grafton than there is anywhere else. We do have a large homeless population. I perceive it to be larger than other small communities this size. I don't see shelter for the homeless people. They do have meals available to them from a mission. I believe it's called the Bread of Life mission. So there's like definite lack of services, but there are some services.
It's not really a Grafton issue, it's a West Virginia issue, it's a regional issue.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
One thing I find is that you don't have a lot of flat land anywhere in the state.
There's no flat.
So it's impossible to really build out your technology jobs.
But I don't know that fits correct for West Virginia.
Okay.
Not to go off on a total tangent, but to give an example of what I'm personally trying to do is I am creating guitars from locally and regionally harvested woods.
Okay.
Okay. Now this has the potential to grow into a business that can be an employer here.
Yeah.
It would take capital. It would take the ability to refurbish one of these buildings. There's opportunities to invest in small business people who can then provide opportunities for people here that otherwise might not be here. But all too often, those opportunities aren't, the people aren't connected correctly. I think that an example is we have a couple of historical buildings anchoring our downtown. And if we have tourist dollars that come to our community because of the state park and they have a lodge. But other than the lodge and the campground there, which is miles outside of town, there's no places for people to stay.
Okay.
If there was investment in the community, then you would have, for example, if someone was allowed to revitalize the B&O building, which hopefully you took a picture of or video.
Yeah, they mentioned it down there about how the town won't let certain things happen.
That's right. If that was allowed to happen and a person was allowed to come in and invest in this community, you'd bring those dollars in, and then it's a trickle-down effect. It makes the homes that need refurbished more attractive people who might invest in them for Airbnbs. All too often, the West Virginia and Appalachian mentality is that the Northerners, like myself, to be bluntly honest, we come here, we take, and we leave with nothing. That's happened a lot in West Virginia, but it also doesn't mean that when a person like myself who intends to stay here for the rest of their life because my puzzle piece fits here, it doesn't mean that you should greet me with your arms like this or greet the people that I may bring from Maine or Michigan or whatever who want to invest in this community, and doesn't mean you should meet me with cross arms and try to put stipulations up to prevent the people that have dollars that want to help. It'll get better if enough people, A, work together, B, actually put the work in, and persistence.
Okay.
But there needs to be a goal, and at this point there's not a joint goal.
What was your name again?
Kimberly Byers.
Okay, and what's the name of your location here?
So this building is the Tiger Artisans Guild.
Okay.
My company is Buffalo Flat String Works.
After getting off camera, Kimberly shared some really incredible ideas with me about how this whole area could be revitalized using the river as an anchor. Had some incredible ideas. It went to show that Kimberly, as well as you can imagine, a lot of people around here do wish for change. I've had several people make it clear to me that officials don't want it to change, but there is ambition. You just have to look for it. Why can tourism not be bigger? Why can't we bring in more jobs and more opportunity for more people? In exploring Grafton, I learned a lot from the local people about their daily life, their main concerns. I was very surprised to learn how many people actually have positive experiences and a positive understanding of the area. Most of the people I talked to had a couple things they can name that they really want fixed, but I was surprised by how many people had a lot of positive things to say. I was told by locals of Grafton and the surrounding areas that I should explore Hinton, West Virginia, and a town called Welch, West Virginia. They expressed that the poverty, the drug use, and the job abandonment reached their pinnacle in that area of the state. So we're going to explore that area and talk to the locals of southern West Virginia. The story of how West Virginia can succeed in the coming years is going to rely on adaptation rather than a copy and paste from other states. The lack of flat land, that is the number one problem here. You don't have agriculture expansion, so it's a double-edged sword. You don't have the high tech or the, large-scale development and sprawl, but you also don't have the highly effective land for crops or farming. One thing to touch on about Welch and Hinton and these southern West Virginia areas is that poverty isn't always a choice. If you have somebody who has a health problem due to obesity or a drug problem, a lot of that's generational and it's due to lack of choice. It's not always, the individual, it's the community, it's what they're born into. I mean, if you are born in an older coal mining town where college or higher education of any form isn't the norm, there's not, opportunity everywhere around every corner like there might be in some areas. The norm and the typical response is to follow the crowd, which a lot of times leads to detriment. If you were raised here your whole life, normal for you might not be normal for everybody else.
There is a whole segment of people in our community who don't have access to cars.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. We did some surveys with the people and we found out the two highest priority items that they have difficulty in finding transportation for are to get to medical appointments and to go grocery shopping.
Okay.
So, we think there's no taxis here. There's no car rental
place. Is there any bus service or any?
No bus service. So that's what we're hoping. They would like some bus service, and especially older people who could no longer drive. There aren't that many job opportunities in town, but at some of the convenience stores, the dollar stores, the grocery stores, there are jobs. So they have to walk like long distances.
Is there a big problem with jobs and, opportunity around here? Is that something you're finding?
There is a problem with jobs. Good paying jobs are definitely a problem. But, since we went through the economic downturn, they have raised, wages. Unfortunately, with inflation, they get gobbled up in the grocery store. So I'm part of a group called Wild, Wonderful, Healthy Summers County. And we actually look at community health from the perspective of 7 vital conditions.
Okay.
So in the center of all the conditions is the civic muscle, but then around it are things such as job security, healthy eating, whatnot. But the 2 conditions that we as a group are looking at in our community are safe and affordable housing.
Okay.
And we've just added this year transportation.
And how long have you lived here in Welch?
Whoa. In this building, but it's the only place I live. I've been here, July will be 3 years.
Okay. What do you think about the area?
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
You like the small town feel?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a lot of stuff to do or any activities?
I just sit out back with my friends.
Okay. So, any negatives, anything that you wish the politicians or anybody would fix?
No.
Okay. What are the positives you would say to living here?
I ain't got no positives about nothing living here.
I'm just saying, it's a good place to raise children.
Okay.
I'm not saying nothing bad about my hometown. It just need more jobs. It need more things for kids to do. It's sad.
This town is nothing but drugs. People jumping out of buildings. People's dying. Now we had a girl, 2 weeks ago? 28
right
years
there.
old.
Sit
Sit
right
right
there
there
on
on
the
that
platform
platform and died. OD.
OD.
Do you know what she overdosed on?
No, we don't know. We don't know. We just found out that she just died, honey.
She died.
I didn't even know the girl. I mean, I don't know. I guess she just buried her. I don't know.
So
I don't think she had family. I don't
They
know.
didn't even investigate the girl's death.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
She's somebody's daughter.
That's right. But it's just sad. I mean, like I say, I'm 51, and like I say, I'm fine. You know, I'm fine. I'm settled well, but I'm just saying about these children. You know, they're growing up, they don't have nothing to do, and then they get bored. Then they get out here in the street, and then they do bad things, and then they get on the drugs, and then they die. It is what it is. I mean, like I say, to me, they just should have more stuff to do for children and get more jobs, more activities. I mean, just.
So if there is one thing that could be different here, one policy decision, something that somebody or the government could do, what would it be? What would be the one thing?
One thing would be for me, jobs. Have something for kids to do.
Listen, what they need to do is put up more stuff for kids to do here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Give them a YMCA, give them something to do.
And then you look up
Because you're not doing nothing.
Back in my day when I was raised up.
Yes, ma'am, I got
with wall-to-wall people stores. I mean, it was good, but it need work here and really need work here. And
So when you grew up here, it was bustling.
oh God, it was beautiful. I had a beautiful childhood. Ain't nothing I could do. There's nothing I could do about it, honey. Because like I said, if I was a billionaire or something, I was trying to build something for kids to do.
They got all these empty buildings down here.
Yeah, but-
Homeless people.
Yeah, I was telling them.
Remodel them
They
and
doing a
put
documentary on
people
West Virginia.
in. You know what
And I
I'm
was
saying?
telling him we was
People
born and
in
raised
the
here. We had a
buildings.
good childhood.
They don't do nothing around here.
In the state overall, but especially in the southern part of the state that we're in here, it's a very sad situation. It's very evident that it's a tough road ahead. It's very sad for the people who live here and the people who maybe want to leave but can't, especially younger people. The situation is that there's no business, there's no opportunity. It's very rare. There's no big jobs coming or big industry moving here or cutting edge anything. But on the other side, the businesses themselves have no real incentive to move here. They have no real reason to. It's a big risk. If you're a company and you have to manage financing, it's a very hard sell to move to an area that is so underdeveloped. And how long have you lived in Welch?
6 years.
6, okay.
I just don't. I don't like the building.
Okay. What is there anything around here that you wish could be different?
The drugs.
Is that a big issue?
Yes, it's big in this place.
Okay. So is it bigger with young people or everybody, the whole age range?
Everybody.
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 So Welch, I had a lot of people around the state tell me to come to Welch. They told me, southern West Virginia had a lot of problems because of the coal industry leaving.
Yeah.
And a lot of different job loss.
Yeah.
So in your experience here, over even the last 6 years, has it gotten better or worse?
Worse.
Worse.
It's worse. I don't like up here, but I don't have no choice. I ain't got nowhere else to go. Because there's so much going on.
So, if there was one thing that could be different in Welch, what would that be?
Lighten up this building.
Okay.
Lighten up this building.
All right. So better housing, better choice in residents.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, it was good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
So what's your name?
I'm Kathy Gentry.
Okay. And how long have you lived here?
All my life in Welch, probably about 35 years.
Okay. And previously?
Davie, about 7 miles from here.
Okay. So you know the area pretty well.
Yes.
So in your opinion, has it gotten better or worse over the period of time?
Well, things have caused it to change. I don't really want to say worse.
Okay.
The economy has changed because people have left and there have been no jobs. So now we have different jobs and less people.
Okay.
So I really wouldn't say it's worse.
Okay. Is the drug problem something that you've seen grow over that period of time? Or are they doing things now to make it better?
Well, we're definitely doing things to make it better. And during that time, we did have that spurt of the opioids. And yes, I've seen that be bad during that time.
So during the pandemic, a lot of that probably spiked up as well.
Yes, but also during that time, we were trying to combat the worst of it.
So do you have a role here locally? Are you a member of a community group?
I'm the executive director of SHED. This is our building.
Okay.
And I sit on city council in town, and I've been here all my life. This is my second career.
Okay. So there's a lot of things that are being done and things that could be done to make it a lot better, right? To revitalize a lot of these these buildings and kind of bring it all into the modern world, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if there was one thing that you wish could be better, what would it be?
Well, I think my business is in housing, and of course to provide safe and affordable housing for everyone that's living in substandard housing.
I was talking to a couple people in an apartment building down the road, and they had mentioned, lack of affordable and quality homes, and that's probably just due to a lack of investment in the area, right?
Well, that's true, and our homes that we have now are deteriorating, unless they've just been built in the last 20 years. We have older homes here. So it's a matter of finding places to build them and being able to take care of the ones that are still standing.
Okay. And then the one thing that you like the most about the area, what's a positive that you find about Welch and the area that you can't find anywhere else?
Well, I think that you won't meet a stranger here. I think that you will find someone to speak to you on the street, just like you spoke to me as I was getting in my car. And it's a smaller town, and I like that atmosphere about Welch, and I think that you would find that you would want to meet people that live here. If we had more businesses come in, and for that we would have to have more people here for that.
In speaking with the people of southern West Virginia, there is a lot of decisions that can be made on the policy level that can affect these people's lives for the better. It's very apparent that the southern part of West Virginia has a long way to go. This area of America faces a lot of unique challenges that are going to require unique solutions. I just wanted to kind of first ask you how you got your start in politics.
I've always loved politics. I was too slow, too short, and not fast enough to play basketball. So my dream was to go play in the NBA. But then once that didn't happen, I wanted to be a part of a team. And no lie, I joined student council in 7th grade. And then so in 7th grade, I became they had student council, government, and student body. And in 8th grade, I played sports. I didn't run. And then in 9th grade, I got a chance to run for student council president. And so when I did that, that was at South Charleston Junior High. When you look back now on what you learned back in the day, it's still the same. You've got to convince your friends, your peers, and people to go out and support you. And so then in 10th grade, same thing. I ran for student council. 11th grade, I didn't. I thought I was going to be a basketball star again. I gave it one more chance, and I didn't. And then my senior year, I ran for student body president. And when I did that, it's kind of it really is like a popularity contest. And the other lady I ran against, her name was Jamie Tincher. She was like prom queen and all this type of stuff, and she was a basketball player. And I wanted to do it because I wanted to make a lasting impact. And it was really getting people involved and support all of our sports. And when you do that as a student leader, it's a lot harder to convince your peers to come out and support you. And so then I went to college, and my first couple years I got a leadership scholarship. It wasn't much, it was a couple dollars, it was a leadership scholarship, but then I didn't really get involved. And I joined the business school, the business economics school, and I got involved in a marketing degree, and it was sales. And it was like, wait a second, I love sales, I love selling, but I love selling myself. And then I got back my junior and senior year, ran for student government, and then my last year in college, I ran for student body president at WVU. That's really where I got my taste in politics.
What do you feel right now is the biggest problem facing West Virginia as a whole?
Well, we have an aging population in West Virginia. One of the biggest things I think is we do a great job of educating our youth, and then they go to college and they have to promise scholarship. Then they leave our state. They leave for various reasons, We have to teach our young people why it's important to stay. I'm guilty. I left the state. I didn't have a job when I graduated, but I always knew I wanted to come back. I wanted to be close to my parents. I wanted to raise my kids here, and I love the quality of life. It was a cool place to live. There's something to do in every season, whether it's skiing in the wintertime or whitewater rafting or hiking and trails. I just love West Virginia and the people. A great state. affordable cost of living, but we have a huge problem with all these new jobs that are coming here. You know, it's great to go out and recruit businesses here and economic development here, but we have to have the workforce to fill these jobs. It's like the chicken before the egg. All these companies, I want them to locate here, we do everything we can, but then they want to know if we have the workforce, an educated, skill-ready workforce. And if our young professionals continue to leave at the mass numbers, then we're gonna have a tough time filling those jobs.
Exactly, and it'll continue to get worse.
Yeah, it's gonna get worse.
And that happened here in Parkersburg with Amazon. They were going to build a facility, and it didn't go through because of the educated.
Couldn't guarantee them we had the educated workforce.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, and I think that's one of our big problems. The other big problem too is, we have a little infrastructure challenge. We have a lot of mountains, beautiful terrain, which makes it hard for building houses.
Not a lot of flat land.
Not a lot of flat land. The flat land that we have, a lot of it's brownfield and development. We got to redevelop, for businesses and companies come here. But housing, you and I know, housing, affordable housing.
Exactly.
It's that you always seem to have like the lower end housing and then the higher end, but it's that everything in between. And we have to be able to build houses affordably, or else our young professionals aren't here. I don't think we have a lot of downtown living anywhere in this state.
No, we don't.
That's what our young professionals want, is some cool, hip living. So I think we can do a better job with that.
How do you feel state-based business can reshape the state for itself and for the nation?
So I really think, we do a great job dangling all these carrots out there and recruiting companies to come to West Virginia. But we have to focus on West Virginia businesses first, who are the backbone of our state. Small businesses make up, 3/4 of all businesses in West Virginia, and they're the blood, sweat, and tears. Running for office, the Secretary of State, as the Chief Business Officer of the state, a lot of people think it just has to do with elections, but 75% of the office is the Chief Business Office.
So here in Parkersburg and Charleston, Huntington, the bigger cities don't have it quite as bad as, southern West Virginia, your central.
Oh, yeah.
So, pertaining to the drug epidemic affecting young people and older people alike, the food, shortages of healthy food in the middle of the state, what can be done on a policy level to make that better in the future?
I always tell people, the best way to get people out of the drug and back on their feet is giving them a job, giving them a reason to live, giving them a reason to wake up and feel good about themselves. And that's just not political speak. I think the best thing we can do, you can spend tons of money, but if somebody wakes up every day, goes to work, feels good, they're making a difference in society, I'm all about government giving a hand up, but I'm not about a handout. Give somebody a chance to get back on their feet, train them, give them the tools, resources when they're down. But you can't make them rely on government for the rest of their lives.
What role do you feel bipartisan politics can play in, reshaping West Virginia? Instead of, left and right, how can we bring together the center? And, you're going to have far out people on both ends, and that's how it is. But how can the people in the middle, the majority of Americans and West Virginians?
I think it's even more powerful here. I really believe you have 15% on the far right, 15% on the far left, who's they're mostly the loudest people out there. But it's that other 70% right in the middle. And you find the topics that are less divisive that we can all agree on. Jobs, giving people ample amount of food to eat, education, affordable housing, tourism, recreation. What can we do that we can all agree on, regardless of your political? And it shouldn't be about who gets credit, the Republicans or the Democrats. It should be West Virginians working together to help other West Virginians. It should be that simple. But so often, unfortunately, they worry about, is there an R by your name or a D by your name, or, oh, well, I can't go along with that person's policy because they're a Democrat, or I can't go along with this one because they're a far right Republican. No, forget it. I mean, that's the problem with society. Social media and Facebook and Twitter. And West Virginia, the one state of all that we have to work together is West Virginia, because the rest of the country they're not going to stick up for us. They're not going to defend us. We have to defend each other. And the last thing we need to do is tear each other down. So find those 3 or 4 things we can agree on. We all want a better education system. That's nonpartisan. We all want to feed our people. Nonpartisan. We all want better jobs for people. And we want to lower taxes and put more money in your pocket. We can agree to that. And it should be about the idea, not who gets credit for it.
What is the first policy decision that you would like to see implemented by either side, if there's one policy or one subject that you feel would be the most impactful to places like Grafton, Welch, these really hard-hit areas?
Great point. Southern West Virginia was hit hardest, but they were also the ones that helped carry our state when it came to producing coal and that tax base that we had down there. But then when coal, started going on the decline, we kind of forgot about Southern West Virginia. You see a lot of these new developments and all these new businesses coming here, and we're giving a lot of tax incentives and tax credits. I would like to make a prerequisite that we look at some of those areas in West Virginia, maybe less desirable areas for some of these companies, but in order to get their incentive, they have to locate there. Okay. Locate to southern West Virginia. Give them a shot in the arm. Locate to central West Virginia. Now I know, it's convenient to be in the northern panhandle or along a river or near a major airport. I get it. But they also want to locate where there's a good education system so they can recruit people there. So education, no matter where we live in the state, you shouldn't discriminate just 'cause southern West Virginia have one type of education system in northern West Virginia. We need to educate our kids fairly all across the state, number one. We're never going to get people to locate in certain parts of the state that doesn't have a good education system or infrastructure. 40% of our state still doesn't have good internet. West Virginia should be like the Denver, Colorado of the East. It was a great place for young professionals. It was fun, it was hip, it was cool. Why can't West Virginia be that way?
The main thing I learned about West Virginia is that the people of this state have a very diverse set of opinions on the quality of living. The biggest problem people have is being able to find educated jobs or quality jobs that pay well. I believe the lack of opportunity is the culprit behind the drug epidemic, as well as some of the other health problems resulting from poor health choices. Unfortunately, like Doug Scaff mentioned, the job problem is really, like he said, a chicken and egg situation. You don't have the high-paying, high-quality jobs, but you also don't have the educated workforce, especially in the southern part of the state. So the companies have no choice. They really can't move here, but the people here desperately need them to move here. So it's a problem that, unfortunately, is very hard to solve. On top of the lack of the educated workforce here, you also have a low population in general. The largest city, Charleston, city limits is only around 65,000 people. It's a small city, and it's the capital. So you look around, and most of the 1.8 or so million people of the state are spread very thin across the state. So unlike a Pittsburgh or a Washington, D.C. or a Columbus, which are areas that surround here, you don't have any core metro area where big business can really come in and innovate or build out their large-scale infrastructure because there's just not enough people in one particular area. The population of West Virginia desperately needs those high-income, quality jobs to move here. Without those jobs, the drug problems, the cultural issues will continue to be a big problem in this state. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be on the horizon for most of the state. It's a very complex issue that really does not seem like is going to be solved anytime soon, sadly. But from what I've seen, most of the people I talk to in this state do wish for change. They're aware of the situation here and, a lot of the shortcomings of the state. So they want a better quality of life. So it's all about using that ambition and that desire for change. So that change and that burden of responsibility is going to fall onto the population of this state. There's nobody from the outside coming in to save the day here. It's up to the local people to make it a better state for themselves and then future generations to come.